Hello! I am Mac, at least for a day, and everything's going to be okay. We've just gotten a new tweet from Sean Murray. Here's an image of it. Now, because apparently some people aren't aware of this, I'm going to explain it because last time when I freaked out about the eyeball emoji tweet, some people were like, "What are you talking about? You're crazy. This doesn't mean there's an update." Well, it does, and it did last time. When we got that eyeball tweet, it was Sean Murray signaling that we were getting the Frontiers update, and now we've gotten this worm emoji update. So Sean Murray always tweets a single emoji with no context right before a named update to No Man's Sky. So that's why it's exciting that we've got another tweet of just a random emoji with no explanation. That means that within a few days, probably, it must be next week because, wow, he tweeted that on. I'll have to go back and check when he tweeted that because it's actually, oh yeah, it was Friday. He tweeted it on Friday, and it's Saturday now. I'm late to the party, finding out about that tweet. A friend of mine told me because I wasn't checking Sean Murray's Twitter constantly, but it's the weekend now, so we won't get the update Saturday or Sunday. We never get updates on the weekend anymore. But sometime next week, most likely, we're going to get an update. Now, what is it going to be? He tweeted a worm. Some people have speculated that it could be fishing. They're going to add fishing to No Man's Sky. I don't. I definitely think it is a reference to sandworms. Sandworms are a huge meme in No Man's Sky because the very first trailer of No Man's Sky showed a sandworm. And after that, people were constantly excited about it. And then when the game came out, they weren't in the game, and people were angry about that, and then constantly asking for it. And then, I mean, and at one point, Sean Murray finally said that they were never going to add sandworms, or they decided against it because it wasn't feasible. And then a year or two later, they did add sandworms. So now we have these giant sandworms that will just jump over us if when we're on a planet where they are. They're not all that. I mean, they're really exciting to see. They're really cool looking, but yeah, they don't really do much of anything other than look cool. I'm not even sure you can scan them. If you can scan them, it's extremely hard to scan them. But they really don't do anything other than just be this giant cool thing that sails over you and burrows away into the distance, which is, fitting. That's what sandworms should be like. And this is very likely that this coincides with the release of Dune. Dune, if you don't know, I mean, it's pretty famous in sci-fi, but Dune is a book series, came out, started in the 1960s, and it, popularized the idea of giant sandworms because that's where they was in the Dune universe. And that a new movie for Dune is coming out near the end of this month. Well, it already came out in Europe, I guess, but the movie is coming out in America the 22nd of October, I think. So less than 10 days. So it seems very likely that they are doing something having to do with sandworms because of the release of Dune. Now, the question is this a collab with Warner Brothers? Is this a collab with the actual people releasing the movie? Or is it just Sean Murray and the team doing something, some kind of update having to do with sandworms to kind of celebrate the fact that Dune is getting a movie? That's a good question. But I personally definitely think that the worm emoji has something to do with sandworms. What it would have to do, I don't know. Obviously, it'd be insane if we got sandworm mounts, like we could mount a sandworm, because in Dune, that's what they do. They actually grapple and ride on sandworms, which is crazy. And sandworms are pretty much as big as they are in the Dune universe as they are in No Man's Sky, maybe even bigger. Um, but in No Man's Sky, if sandworms stay the way they are, I don't think it would be possible for us to ride them. They're just way too big and way too fast. We can't even scan them, let alone get close to them and ride on them. Um, Now, if they were to change sandworms, change the mechanics somehow, maybe create smaller versions of them that slither across the ground, then of course it would be possible to tame them and ride on them. Um, Whether or not that's what they're going to do, I don't know. I also think that if this is a collab, or even if it's not, we're probably going to get a new expedition. I think, unless I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure the uh, what was it called? Cartographer's expedition is just about to end. And so it's kind of perfect timing for that expedition to end, them do an update to give us another expedition, and maybe the reward for the expedition will be a pet sandworm, just like the last expedition we got a pet biological horror. I guess they could give us a pet sandworm, maybe a mini pet sandworm. Um, don't know if that means we could mount it, or maybe it would just be you would get a pet sandworm. That's the only way to get it is from the expedition. There's no way to there's no way to get a sandworm pet normally because there's no way to catch up to them and tame them. But basically what it would be is you'd have the pet in your inventory. Let me show you what I mean. So we can call each of our different pets. So say I had a sandworm pet. If I called it, all it would do is it would call a sandworm to me. A sandworm would suddenly appear on the horizon, sail over me, and run off like they normally do. That would be kind of cool. They just gave us the ability to call a sandworm whenever we're on a planet if we want to. Um, that's something they could do, I guess. But who knows? Let me know what you think. Are we getting something to do with sandworms, or what does the worm emoji mean? I don't know. It's very exciting though, and I guess we'll see. But real quick, I'm gonna do this conversation with Settlement Terminal. So I've got a new visitor. Oh. Oh no, I don't want to get rid of multi-person quarters. So a stranger named Scout Entity Kokalita has arrived with How do you say that word? Retinue? I've never heard it pronounced. Retinoir? I don't know. People are going to tell me in the comments. They present the plans for sodium extractor in... Oh. Wait, plans for sodium extractor? What even is that? Oh, I'm gonna have to do it. Oh, no, no, no. Pretty sure sodium extractor is just another trait. I don't really want multi-person quarters to go away because that will lower my population, and I'm trying to increase population and happiness. In return, they ask, is our mutual cooperation in making a donation? Yeah, I don't want to get rid of multi-person quarters. I want to increase my population and stuff, so I'm gonna have to decline that one. Anyway, um, so yeah, I'm 100% sure that we're getting an update. Some people might say that I'm wrong, and doesn't mean an update, but in over the past several years, every single time Sean Murray has tweeted a emoji with no context, it has meant that we're getting an update within the next few days. So sometime next week we will get an update. It's a little early for a Halloween update, but I guess this might technically be the Halloween update of the year. And I mean, sandworms are giant monsters, so I guess we're getting something to do with sandworms for our Halloween update this year. But yeah, let me know what you think. Why did he tweet a worm emoji? Are we getting fishing? Are we getting something to do with sandworms? Is it going to be a new expedition? And of course, whatever the update is, I'll be restarting my live stream series to do it, or depending on what it is. If it's a new expedition, it'll be a new live stream series where I do the expedition. If it's just new features, I might continue the frontier life, unless the new features have nothing to do with the frontier settlements. In which case it'll be a new series having to do with whatever the new features are. Um, but anyway, let me know what you think the worm emoji means. It definitely means an update. That's not up for debate because I'm sure 100% that it is. But what features we're going to get, I don't know. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And anyway, I have been Mac. Thank you for joining me for a day. And remember, everything's going to be okay. Special thanks to my monthly supporters: Shell Owens, JSpot51, Shannon and Jeremy, Marquis BS, Meg Payton, Gwenny, Renee McLeod. It's friends like you that motivate me to keep creating.